Just an average second-year high school student, or at least, that's who I thought I was up until a few minutes ago. Right now, though, nothing around me feels familiar, not even the ground beneath my feet. And here's the thing, I don't know where I am, but one thing's for certain. This isn't Earth. I'm no stranger to adventure in video games, but this is no game. My body feels lighter, my senses are sharper, but my mind is racing, struggling to process this strange, unknown world. It was like any other day, until a flash of bright, blinding light swallowed everything in my vision. What's going on? Where am I? I remember hearing a faint hum, almost like music repeating in my head, accompanied by a disembodied, melodic voice echoing, transporting in 10 minutes. Prepare yourselves. And just as I was trying to figure out what was happening, another jarring announcement boomed from nowhere. Attention, students. Please stop what you're doing and take a seat. Everyone's heads turned as we exchanged confused glances, and that's when it hit me, this was no ordinary day. I glanced at my reflection in a shimmering pool of light, only to see the familiar face of a painfully average teenager. "Oh great, I'm still me," I muttered. The voice continued, "Each of you will be granted skills to help you survive in the world you're about to enter. These include appraisal, item box, and a special status skill to check your own abilities at any time. Welcome, young heroes, to your new lives." But hero? Me? I could feel laughter bubbling up inside me. Hero. I wasn't anyone special. Heck, even in my school, I barely registered on anyone's radar except as the weird kid. I didn't know if this was a dream, a prank, or some twisted game. I kept waiting for someone to call it all off and tell us to go back to our classes, but the minutes ticked by, and nothing changed. If anything, the situation just became more and more surreal. The voice spoke again, louder, with a strange excitement. 3.2.1. Transporting now, and suddenly I was weightless, pulled from reality as I knew it and into a spiral of colors, sounds, and light. When I finally blinked my eyes open, the world around me had completely transformed. Towering trees reached for the sky, their leaves shimmering under an eerie moonlight that seemed too bright for the nighttime. I was alone, and that gut-wrenching fear gnawed at me. Where was everyone else? Were they okay? And most importantly, what exactly was I supposed to do now? I tried to take stock of my surroundings and did as the mysterious voice instructed, activating my appraisal skill. A floating interface popped up in front of me, showing my stats. Species barely human. Gender creepy male. Age 17. Attack level 1. Defense level 1. Agility level 1. Magic attack level 1. Magic defense level 1. Luck 0. Charm immeasurable. Barely human? 0 charm? Luck is 0. I laughed nervously, trying to shake off the unsettling sense of failure that came with these stats. You've got to be kidding me, my heroic stats were painfully lacking. I was practically a nobody here too. The days that followed were rough, to say the least. I scavenged what I could, fighting hunger as I struggled to survive. I searched for any kind of food, and one night I stumbled upon an odd-looking fruit hanging from a low branch. With a rumbling stomach and no other options, I grabbed it and bit in. The taste was indescribable. It was awful, like bitterness mixed with a rotten tang. But hunger overrode my disgust, and I forced it down. That's when I felt a strange tingle radiating through my body, like my insides were being reworked. A voice whispered in my mind, effect of fruit of evolution activating. I froze. Evolution? What's that supposed to mean then? Suddenly I felt my entire body convulsing. Pain surged through me, as if my bones were shifting and muscles were expanding. The agony was unbearable, and for a moment I thought I might actually die. But then, just as quickly as it started, the pain vanished. I glanced down, and my heart nearly stopped. My arms looked leaner, my frame less pudgy. My body had changed because of that strange fruit. As days passed, I found more of these fruits and kept eating them. Each one caused the same agonizing transformation, but each time I felt myself growing stronger, faster, and smarter. It was as if the fruits were rewriting me from the inside out. One night, as I was scavenging for more food, A shadow loomed behind me. I spun around, coming face to face with a hulking creature, a monkey, but far larger and more menacing than any monkey I'd ever seen. I barely had time to react as it lunged, swinging a fist the size of my head. I dodged by a hair, feeling the wind from its punch brush against my face. My instincts kicked in, and I activated a skill I didn't know I had: guillotine kick. My leg shot up, connecting with the beast, and it staggered back. I'd actually done damage. The creature roared, its eyes blazing with rage as it charged again. I unleashed a series of kicks and punches, each one landing harder and faster than the last, until finally the beast collapsed with a thunderous crash. My heart raced as I stared at its fallen form, a mix of adrenaline and shock flooding my veins. I'd survived. Skill acquired: Twin Fang Attack. Skill acquired: Enemy Detection. A voice announced in my head. Congratulations, your experience level has increased by 500. The victories continued, and each battle I survived brought new skills, more strength, and higher stats. I was evolving, becoming something far more powerful than I'd ever imagined. Months passed, and I thought I had reached a new level of mastery in this world. But that's when I encountered her Kaiser Kong. A towering figure with silver fur that glistened in the moonlight, this creature was the boss of the jungle, and it radiated raw power. The mere sight of it made me tremble. I braced myself, activating all the skills I'd amassed, determined to bring down this mighty foe. But as the battle raged, I noticed something off. Every time I dodged her attack, she blushed. With each dodge and counter, her eyes softened, her once ferocious expression turning. Dreamy? Oh, you're so strong, she cooed. Finally, someone who can keep up with me. I felt my heart skip a beat, not out of fear, but out of sheer, awkward disbelief. She was falling for me. Wait, you're a girl. Yes, she purred, batting her eyes as if I'd swept her off her feet. Please let me stay by your side. I've never met anyone like you. My jaw dropped, my mind reeling. Are you serious? You're a gorilla. She didn't seem to care. That doesn't matter. I'll follow you wherever you go, my love. And that was it. My life in this strange new world had taken yet another unexpected turn, one filled with unlikely friendships, battles, and an endless journey of self-discovery. There was no going back. And maybe, just maybe, I didn't want to. Once upon a time, there was an ordinary high school student named Sei Hiiragi. He was just an average second year, dealing with the usual ups and downs of teenage life until one day, his world was turned completely upside down. Saichi was whisked away, ripped from his familiar life, and hurled into an entirely new realm. This wasn't Earth, but an unfamiliar land brimming with dangers, mysteries, and strange, unexpected opportunities. He was thrust into this unknown world with no warning, no explanation, and no way to understand what lay ahead. His heart pounded with both fear and excitement as he realized he was no longer bound by the same rules or limitations of his former world. And then, the fruit of evolution found him. In this strange world, there existed a mystical, almost legendary fruit with the power to alter the very nature of those who ate it. It was rumored to grant extraordinary strength, perhaps even skills beyond imagination, to anyone who took a bite. Unaware of its full powers but with his stomach growling and his curiosity piques, Saichi decided to give the fruit a try. The instant he took a bite, a surge of power overwhelmed him. His body transformed, muscles grew stronger, his senses sharpened, and he felt a newfound energy rushing through his veins. It was as if he had been reborn with the strength of a hero capable of overcoming any challenge. And yet, despite his incredible transformation, a strange quirk remained: he was still registered as level 1. How could that be? Saichi was too stunned to dwell on the details for long, though, because soon he faced an encounter that no one could have anticipated. Out of the trees came the sounds of footsteps, large, pounding footsteps, like the sound of thunder crashing on the ground. His gaze shot up, and there, emerging from the shadows of the forest, was a towering gorilla with deep, curious eyes. This wasn't just any gorilla. She was larger than life, her posture regal and commanding, yet her expression was soft. She stepped closer, her eyes twinkling with a strange affection. "Saichi, I love you," she declared with surprising tenderness. Her voice, though deep, carried a warmth that made Saichi's heart skip a beat. Then she continued, "Let's get married." Saichi's mind froze in a mixture of shock, horror, and bewilderment. A gorilla. A marriage proposal. His brain raced to make sense of the situation. He barely had time to process his transformation from the fruit of evolution, and now he was faced with a romantic proposition from a gorilla. It was beyond absurd. "Oh, wait, hold on," Seichi stammered, desperately trying to regain his composure. "I'm a human, and you're a gorilla. We're from different species. It's not possible." The gorilla, who introduced herself as Saria, was visibly hurt by his response. Her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and stubborn resolve as she crossed her arms. "I'm not just any gorilla," she insisted, clearly insulted by his hesitation. "And I've chosen you as my husband." Seichi could hardly believe what was happening. This strange world had thrown him into a series of bewildering situations, but a marriage proposal from a gorilla was beyond his wildest imagination. He searched for a way out, a way to escape her unwavering gaze. His eyes landed on a dark, distant spot on the map he had received. Maybe he could make his way there and finally evade Saria's relentless affection. Yet, as he started formulating an escape plan, Saria seemed to read his thoughts. "Are you thinking about me?" she asked with a shy smile. Seichi could hardly respond, utterly dumbfounded by her perceptiveness. He soon found out that Saria wasn't just an ordinary gorilla. She had intelligence and skills far beyond any human or gorilla he had ever encountered. She spoke with ease, and she even revealed that she had learned to talk by reading books she found in a hidden cave. She could also perform simple magic, lighting small fires, cleaning clothes, and handling household tasks. Her knowledge was both impressive and a little unsettling, given her animal nature. The more she spoke, the more Seichi began to feel an odd warmth toward her, a strange, confusing fondness that made his escape plan all the more difficult to consider. Yet Seichi's desire to escape was still strong. He found himself plotting how to slip away from her, despite the budding friendship forming between them. One day, as he was about to make a run for it, he managed to put some distance between them, the wind rushing past as he sprinted through the trees. But his hopes were short-lived. Saria chased after him with incredible speed, her steps loud and unrelenting. He knew she had caught up, and she was smiling. As Seichi ran, he stumbled upon a dark, eerie cavern. The air around him grew colder as he ventured inside. His heart pounded with a mixture of fear and excitement, but before he could fully comprehend what was happening, he found himself face to face with a figure shrouded in darkness, the infamous Dark Lord Sanos. His presence was overwhelming, his gaze sharp and his aura like a weight on Seichi's very soul. Sanos's level appeared as 1, and for a moment, Seichi felt relieved until he realized it was merely an illusion. Sanos's true power was staggering. Level 1500. A force beyond anything Seichi could hope to face alone. The realization hit him like a cold wave. His heart pounded, and he felt his newfound strength ebbing away in the face of such overwhelming power. Just as Janos was about to deliver the final blow, Saria, who had been watching from the shadows, leaped in front of Seichi, shielding him with her own body. She took the brunt of the attack, collapsing from the sheer force. Bloodied and weakened, she turned to Seichi, her gaze full of warmth and affection. "Seichi, I don't care about anything else. I'm just happy I got to be by your side," she whispered, her voice barely audible. She smiled at him, the love in her eyes undiminished despite the pain. Saichi's heart shattered. He had dismissed her, run from her, even mocked her feelings. Yet here she was, risking her life to protect him. He held her close, a torrent of emotions coursing through him. "Saria, I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I didn't realize, I didn't understand." With Saria's final breath, a sense of calm washed over her, and she closed her eyes, content. But just when all seemed lost, something extraordinary happened. Saria's form shimmered, and as Seichi watched, she transformed, her gorilla body shifting into that of a beautiful woman, radiant and full of life. Seichi was speechless. The creature who had been both his protector and his friend now stood before him, no longer a gorilla but a graceful, stunning woman. Tears filled his eyes as he realized that this bond they had, strange and improbable, was real. He understood now, more than ever, that Saria was more than just a companion. She was someone who had seen his heart, who had loved him without hesitation. And now he felt the same. Together they stood hand in hand, ready to face the mysteries of this world. Seichi knew he was no longer alone in this strange realm. and with Saria by his side, he felt invincible. Their journey was only beginning, a story woven from the strangest of encounters, a bond born in the unlikeliest of ways. And though he didn't know what lay ahead, he was ready to face it, knowing that whatever came next, they would face it together. My name is Seiji. Before everything changed, I was just a regular high school student. Life wasn't exciting, but it wasn't bad either. Wake up, go to school, come home, repeat. My days blended together, predictable but safe. I spent more time daydreaming about exciting worlds in books and games than actually engaging with the one I lived in. Heroes, adventures, magic, they were fantasies I never thought would touch my reality. But in the blink of an eye, those dreams and my ordinary life collided in a way I never expected. It happened without warning. I was on my way home from the convenience store, my bag full of snacks and manga, when the world around me shifted. It wasn't dramatic, no flashes of light or booming voices. One step, I was walking on pavement. The next, I was standing in a dense forest, the air thick with unfamiliar scents. The sunlight filtering through the canopy above was brighter, almost golden, and the sounds of distant creatures replaced the hum of city life. I froze, my mind scrambling to make sense of it. Was this a dream? Some kind of hallucination? I pinched myself hard enough to leave a mark, but the forest remained stubbornly real. The quiet panic set in. Where was I? How did I get here? Most importantly, how would I get back? I wandered aimlessly, my thoughts a storm of confusion and fear. As I moved, I noticed small details that solidified one terrifying fact. This wasn't Earth. The trees were too tall, their leaves an iridescent green that shimmered in the light. The air smelled faintly sweet, like a mix of honey and pine. In the distance, strange bird-like creatures with 4 wings glided silently through the sky. As I stumbled through the undergrowth, trying not to trip over roots or attract attention from whatever lived in this forest, I found something unusual. A fruit unlike any I'd ever seen. It was round and golden, glowing faintly, as if it had been plucked from a fairy tale. Hunger gnawed at my stomach. I hadn't eaten since leaving home, and despite my better judgment, I picked it up. The surface was smooth and warm, almost comforting to hold. A faint aroma of sweetness wafted from it, making my mouth water. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if it was safe. Then, desperation won out. I took a bite. The taste was indescribable, a mix of every fruit I'd ever loved intensified 100-fold. It was so overwhelming that I barely noticed the strange warmth spreading through my body, like a fire igniting in my veins. I doubled over as my muscles tensed and stretched. My vision blurred, and my heart raced. When it was over, I felt different. I looked down at my hands. They were larger, stronger, and my entire body felt lighter, more powerful. My reflection in a nearby stream confirmed it. I wasn't the same person anymore. My once average frame was now muscular, my features sharper, almost unrecognizable. I wasn't just in another world, I was something new. The days that followed were a blur of discovery and survival. I learned that this place was as dangerous as it was beautiful. Monsters lurked in every shadow, and I quickly realized that my newfound strength wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity. The fruit of evolution had changed me, giving me the tools I needed to survive, but it also raised questions I couldn't ignore. What was this power? Why had I been brought here? It wasn't long before I met Saria, a gorilla who, to my utter shock, transformed into a beautiful girl after consuming her own fruit of evolution. Saria became my first friend in this strange land. Her kindness and unwavering support helped me push forward even when the odds seemed impossible. Together, we braved the perils of the forest, forging a bond that went beyond words. But the forest was only the beginning. After weeks of wandering, we finally reached the edge of civilization. A towering stone gate loomed before us, the walls behind it stretching high enough to touch the clouds. Relief and apprehension warred within me as I approached. Was this the start of a new chapter, or the beginning of a new set of challenges? The gods stationed at the gate were skeptical of us. We didn't have any identification, no proof of who we were or where we'd come from. I thought we were doomed until they brought out the gem of truth. They explained it would reveal whether we were criminals or hiding anything. My heart pounded as I placed my hand on the gem, but to my surprise, my disguise skill, one of the strange abilities I had gained, allowed me to pass unnoticed. Saria followed suit, and just like that, we were in. The town was bustling, alive with sights and sounds that were both alien and strangely familiar. Market stalls lined the streets, their vendors shouting out prices for goods I couldn't even name. Children darted through the crowd, laughing and playing. For the first time in weeks, I felt a sliver of hope. Maybe this world wasn't all danger. Maybe there was a place for us here. Our first stop was the Adventurers Guild. It seemed like the logical choice. Adventurers were the backbone of this world, tackling quests, fighting monsters, and exploring the unknown. If we wanted to make a life here, the guild was our best bet. The guild hall was chaotic. Adventurers of all shapes and sizes filled the space, their conversations a cacophony of voices. At the center of it all was the guild master, a mountain of a man with muscles that looked like they could crush steel. His obsession with strength was both impressive and unsettling, but he welcomed us with surprising warmth. Our proctor for the guild's initiation was Artoria, an A-rank adventurer with a fearsome reputation. Known as Artoria the Calamity, she was as intimidating as her title suggested. Her sharp eyes and cold demeanor made it clear she didn't trust us, but she reluctantly agreed to oversee our initiation. The tasks she assigned us were unexpected. Helping at an orphanage, demolishing a building, and walking a dog weren't exactly the grand quests I'd envisioned. But each task taught me something valuable, not just about this world, but about myself and the people around me. Artoria, despite her gruff exterior, began to reveal glimpses of her true self. She carried a deep loneliness, a belief that her power brought nothing but destruction. She called herself a calamity, but as I spent more time with her, I saw the kindness buried beneath her pain. One moment stood out. During the dog-walking quest, Artoria smiled. It was brief, almost imperceptible, but it was real. For that split second, she wasn't the feared adventurer or the calamity. She was just a person, enjoying a small moment of joy. By the end of the day, I realized something important. This world was harsh and unpredictable, but it didn't have to be faced alone. Saria, Artoria, and the others I'd met were more than companions. They were becoming my new family. As I lay under the stars that night, staring at a sky filled with unfamiliar constellations, I felt a sense of purpose I'd never known before. My old life was gone, but maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. This world was full of challenges, mysteries, and dangers, but it was also full of potential. And so, with Saria by my side and a growing sense of determination in my heart, I embraced the adventure ahead.